4 individuals were indicted for committing sex crimes against children. 29-year-old Kyoki Anthony Lizama of Parkersburg was indicted for 6 counts of sexual assault in the second degree, 7 counts of sexual abuse by a parent or guardian, and 1 count of sexual abuse in the first degree. According to court documents, the abuse happened from June of 2023 to June of 2024. The victim was under the age of 18 and over the age of 14. 33-year-old Tyler Andrew McCune of Vienna was indicted for 7 counts of distribution and exhibition of material depicting minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct. Counts 1 and 2 involved more than 50 images but less than 600. However, count 1 describes McCune possessing the material itself with the intent to watch, while count 2 describes McCune sending the material to others. Counts 5 through 7 describe the content of the images themselves. The crime happened in June of 2025. 25-year-old Cameron Eugene Gray of Parkersburg was charged with 10 counts of distribution and exhibition of material depicting minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct. Count 1 states Gray had 600 or more images. Counts 2 through 10 name the conduct involved violence to a child. The crime happened in November of 2024. 65-year-old Charles Tom Davison was charged with 31 counts of distribution and exhibition of material depicting minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct. Count 1 states Davison had 600 or more images. Count 22 states some of the content contained a child engaging in bestiality. The other 29 counts involve violence against a child. The crime happened in June of 2025.